Poor single mom found a crying woman in a park. She didn't know she was a millionaire heiress. The autumn leaves crunched beneath Sarah Mitchell's worn sneakers as she hurried through Riverside Park in downtown Portland, Oregon. Her 7-year-old daughter Emma skipped alongside her, chattering excitedly about the ducks they'd seen earlier. Sarah's mind, however, was elsewhere, calculating bills, worrying about the electricity notice that had arrived that morning, and wondering how she'd stretch their grocery budget until her next paycheck from the diner. "Mommy, look, that lady's crying," Emma whispered, tugging at Sarah's jacket sleeve. Sarah followed her daughter's gaze to a bench near the pond. A woman sat alone, her face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. She was impeccably dressed, a tailored navy coat that probably cost more than Sarah made in a month, designer handbag, and shoes that gleamed despite the damp weather. "Maybe we should leave her alone, sweetheart," Sarah said gently, though her own heart went out to the stranger. She knew what it felt like to cry alone. But Emma was already walking toward the bench, her small hand reaching into her backpack. "Excuse me, lady, are you okay?" The woman looked up, revealing red-rimmed green eyes and mascara streaks down her cheeks. She appeared to be in her early 30s, with blonde hair pulled back in what had once been a perfect bun. "Oh, I'm fine, honey, thank you." "You don't look fine," Emma said with the brutal honesty of childhood, offering the woman a crumpled tissue from her backpack. "My mommy says it's okay to cry sometimes. She cries too, but she always feels better after." Sarah felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. "Emma, we shouldn't—" "No, it's okay," the woman said, accepting the tissue with a trembling smile. "Your daughter is very kind. I'm Victoria Stone. I'm Emma, and this is my mommy, Sarah." Emma plopped down on the bench beside Victoria, without invitation. "Why are you so sad?" Sarah approached cautiously. "I'm sorry, she's very direct. Emma, we should let Ms. Stone have her privacy." "Actually," Victoria said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I don't think I want to be alone right now." She looked up at Sarah with pleading eyes. Would you mind sitting with me for a moment?" Something in Victoria's voice, a vulnerability that Sarah recognized from her own darkest moments, made her decision. She sat down on the other side of Emma, who immediately began chattering about the ducks and her school day, seemingly oblivious to the tension. "I ran away," Victoria said suddenly, her words cutting through Emma's chatter. "I'm 32 years old and I ran away from home like a teenager." Sarah didn't know what to say. The woman beside her radiated wealth and privilege, everything Sarah had never had. What could drive someone who seemingly had everything to flee? "Sometimes running away is the bravest thing you can do," Sarah said carefully, "especially when staying would hurt more." Victoria's eyes widened with surprise. "You don't even know me. How can you say that?" "Because I've been there," Sarah replied honestly. "Maybe not in the same way, but I've been there. Sometimes the hardest person to run from is yourself, or the life everyone expects you to live." Victoria stared at her for a long moment. "You're not what I expected to find in a park today." "Neither are you," Sarah admitted with a small smile. Emma, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Are you hungry? Mommy packed extra sandwiches because she always says someone might need them." Sarah's face flushed again. She hadn't packed extra sandwiches. She'd packed her own lunch to give to Emma later if her daughter was still hungry, but she couldn't embarrass Emma by correcting her. "I couldn't," Victoria began. "Please," Sarah said, pulling out a peanut butter sandwich wrapped in wax paper. "Emma's right. I always pack extra." The lie came easily, born from years of protecting her daughter from the reality of their financial struggles. Victoria accepted the sandwich with tears forming in her eyes again. "I haven't eaten since yesterday. I've been I've been sitting in hotels and parks, trying to figure out what to do with my life." "Well, you can't make good decisions on an empty stomach," Sarah said, echoing her own mother's words from years past. "And you can't sit in parks all night. Do you have somewhere safe to stay?" Victoria nodded. "I have money. I have access to money. It's just complicated." "It always is," Sarah said, not pressing for details. As Victoria ate the sandwich, color slowly returned to her face. Emma entertained them both with stories about her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, and her best friend Jake, who had brought a frog to school that morning. "I should probably go," Victoria said eventually, though she made no move to leave. "I've imposed on your kindness enough." "You haven't imposed," Sarah said firmly. "But Emma and I do need to head home. It's getting dark, and tomorrow's a school day." Victoria stood up, straightening her expensive coat. "Thank you, both of you. I haven't felt this human in a very long time." "Everyone deserves to feel human," Sarah replied, gathering Emma's backpack. "Sarah," Victoria said as they prepared to part ways, would you maybe like to meet for coffee sometime? If you're not too busy. I know you probably have a full life, and I'm just a stranger, but—" "I'd like that," Sarah interrupted gently. "I work at Murphy's Diner on 5th Street. I'm usually there Tuesday through Saturday, 7 to 3. Victoria's face lit up. "Murphy's Diner, I'll remember that." As Sarah and Emma walked away, Victoria called out, "Sarah, thank you for seeing me as a person, not just what I appear to be." Sarah turned back with a smile. "We all need someone to see us for who we really are." Walking home through the darkening streets, Emma slipped her hand into Sarah's. "I like Victoria, Mommy. She seemed really lonely." "She did, didn't she?" Sarah agreed, her mind already wondering about the mysterious woman they'd left behind. "Will we see her again?" Sarah looked down at her daughter's hopeful face. "I think we might, sweetheart. I think we might." That night, as Sarah tucked Emma into bed in their small apartment above the laundromat, she couldn't shake the image of Victoria's grateful eyes. She'd given away her own lunch without a second thought, and somehow it had felt like the most natural thing in the world. She had no idea that her simple act of kindness had just changed both their lives forever. 3 days later, Sarah was wiping down tables at Murphy's Diner during the afternoon lull when the bell above the door chimed. She looked up to see Victoria walking in, looking slightly out of place in her elegant attire among the diner's working class. "Clientele, Victoria!" Sarah called out, genuinely pleased to see her. "I wasn't sure you'd actually come." "I keep my promises," Victoria said, sliding into a booth by the window. She looked better than she had in the park. Her eyes were clearer, her posture more confident. "I hope you don't mind that I came during your work hours. I wasn't sure how else to find you." "Of course not. Let me just finish up here, and I'll join you for a few minutes." Sarah poured Victoria a cup of coffee and set down a menu. "The pie's fresh today, apple and cherry." "Actually," Victoria said, "I was hoping we could talk about something important." "Do you have a break coming up?" Something in Victoria's tone made Sarah pause. "I can take a few minutes now. My boss is pretty understanding." She slid into the booth across from Victoria, noting the nervous energy radiating from the other woman. "Sarah, I need to tell you something about myself," Victoria began, her fingers wrapped tightly around her coffee cup. "When I said my last name was Stone the other day, I wasn't lying, but I wasn't telling you the whole truth either." Sarah felt a flutter of concern. "Okay, my full name is Victoria Stone Whitmore, and the reason I was running away, it's because I'm supposed to inherit Whitmore Industries next month. My grandfather built it from nothing, and now it's worth over $2 billion. Sarah blinked, certain she'd misheard. "I'm sorry, did you say billion?" "Billion," Victoria confirmed, her voice heavy with the weight of the admission. "I've been groomed my entire life to take over the company, to be the perfect heiress, to marry the right Men say the right things, never make waves. And 3 days ago, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. The diner suddenly felt very quiet around them. Sarah stared at Victoria, trying to process what she'd just heard. You're a billionaire? I will be, yes. But Sarah, that's not why I'm telling you this. Victoria leaned forward, her eyes intense. That day in the park, you gave me your lunch. You didn't know who I was. You didn't want anything from me. You were kind. Do you know how rare that is in my world? Sarah's mind was reeling. I don't understand. Why are you telling me this? Because I want to do something. For you and Emma. Not as charity, but as gratitude. As a friend helping a friend. Victoria reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. I've been thinking about this for 3 days, and I know it might sound crazy, but I want to offer you a job. A job? I'm going to take over Whitmore Industries, but I want to change how it operates. I want to create programs that actually help people, not just generate profits. I need someone who understands what it's like to struggle, someone who has real empathy and wisdom. I need someone like you. Sarah shook her head slowly. Victoria, I work in a diner. I dropped out of community college when I got pregnant with Emma. I don't have any business experience. You have life experience, Victoria interrupted. You've raised a child on your own, managed a budget with nothing to spare, and still found it in your heart to help a stranger. Those are the skills I need. Victoria opened the envelope and slid a piece of paper across the table. Sarah's eyes widened as she saw the numbers written there. This would be your starting salary, Victoria said quietly. As Director of Community, Outreach for Whitmore Industries, full benefits, college tuition assistance if you want to finish your degree, and a housing allowance that would let you and Emma move to a better neighborhood. Sarah stared at the paper, her hands trembling. The number was more than she made in 3 years at the diner. I can't. This is too much. You don't even know me. I know enough, Victoria said firmly. I know you gave a sandwich to a stranger without hesitation. I know you raised a daughter who has more natural kindness than most adults I've met. I know you saw me as a person when I needed it most. But what if I'm not good at it? What if I let you down? Victoria smiled, the first genuine smile Sarah had seen from her. Then you'll learn and you'll do better. That's what real people do, Sarah. They try, they fail sometimes, they get back up. I've been surrounded by people who've never failed at anything because they've never tried anything that mattered. Sarah looked around the diner, at the cracked vinyl booths, the coffee stains on her apron, the life she'd built from nothing but determination and love. What about Emma? My life. Here, Emma would go to one of the best schools in the state. You'd have time to actually be with her instead of working 2 jobs. And Murphy's Diner? Victoria glanced around with appreciation. This place taught you more about people and hard work than any business school could. That's exactly what I need. Sarah felt tears welling up. Why? Why are you doing this? Because 3 days ago I was ready to give up everything and disappear. But you and Emma reminded me that there are still good people in the world. People worth fighting for. You gave me hope when I had none. Victoria reached across the table and squeezed Sarah's hand. Let me give you hope too. Sarah looked down, at the paper again, then back at Victoria's earnest face. I don't know how to be a director of anything. Neither do I, Victoria admitted with a laugh. I've been trained to be a CEO, but I've never actually run a company. We'll figure it out. Together, the bell above the door chimed again, and Emma burst in, her backpack bouncing as she ran to their table. Mommy, Mrs. Rodriguez said I got an A on my science project. She stopped short when she saw Victoria. Oh, hi, Victoria. Are you eating lunch with Mommy? Hi, Emma, Victoria said warmly. Congratulations on your A. What was your project about? How to help people when they don't have enough food, Emma said proudly. I said people should share, like Mommy does. Victoria's eyes met Sarah's over Emma's head. That sounds like a very important project. Emma, Sarah said carefully, how would you feel about maybe moving to a new place, a bigger place? Emma's eyes widened. Like a house with a backyard? Maybe, Sarah said, looking at Victoria for confirmation. Definitely, Victoria said. With a backyard and a good school, and maybe even a dog if you want one. Emma's shriek of joy drew stares from the other customers, but Sarah didn't care. Her daughter's happiness was worth any amount of attention. Is that a yes? Victoria asked softly. Sarah looked at her daughter's beaming face, then at Victoria's hopeful expression, then at the number on the paper that could change everything. It's a yes, she whispered. But Victoria, I want you to know that even if you hadn't offered me anything, I'd still be your friend. Some things are more important than money. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. That's exactly why I knew you were the right person for this job. As Sarah finished her shift that afternoon, her mind buzzed with possibilities. Emma sat in the corner booth, coloring and chattering excitedly about dogs and backyards, while Victoria made phone calls to set everything in motion. Sarah, Victoria said as they prepared to leave, there's one more thing. I want you to know that this isn't just about the job. You and Emma, you're the first real friends I've had in years. Money can buy a lot of things, but it can't buy what you gave me in that park. What's that? Sarah asked. The reminder that kindness doesn't have a price tag, Victoria replied, and that the best things in life are usually free. 6 months later, Sarah stood in her new office at Whitmore Industries, looking out at the city skyline. The community outreach program had already helped dozens of families, providing job training, childcare assistance, and emergency financial support. Emma was thriving in her new school, and their house, their actual house, had become a gathering place for both their old friends and new ones. Victoria knocked on the doorframe. Ready for lunch? I found this great little diner that makes amazing pie. Sarah laughed. Murphy's Diner? Murphy's Diner, Victoria confirmed. Some things are too good to leave behind. As they walked out together, Sarah reflected on how much had changed since that autumn day in the park. She'd learned that kindness really was an investment, not because it guaranteed returns, but because it created connections that enriched everyone involved. And sometimes, when you least expect it, those connections can change your entire world. Thank you, Sarah said as they reached the elevator. For what? Victoria asked. For teaching me that sometimes the best way to help someone is to let them help you too. Victoria smiled as the elevator opened. Thank you for teaching me that. The most valuable things in life can't be bought. They can only be shared. Together, they stepped into their new future, built on the foundation of an unexpected friendship that had transformed them both. The end. Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.